In a previous tutorial, I showed you how to create the simplest form of capital for the column, which is a Doric capital. And we're going to begin this tutorial using the elements you already learned how to create, the fluted shaft and the Doric capital. But we're going to add some new elements to create what will look like an Ionic capital. The Ionic capital has scroll-like volutes that are sometimes called ram's horns or scrolls. We're going to create that effect with only a few steps. So let's go to the top view here, and let's look at our top of our capital. Let's orbit around and go to the front view so that we're near the top. We want to draw a circle in space that's approximately the size of our capital. So we need to go to the top view and move this circle so that it's exactly lined up with our capital, but alongside of it. Go back to front view, use the pan tool. Right. This looks a little bit small for our purposes, so I'm going to take this circle and use it for now, but we'll do something about the size, and that is we will select the outer rim of the circle and we'll use the offset tool and we'll pull out another rim at about 7 inches from there. Now we'll use that circle and pull an inner circle 7 inches inside the original one, and then we'll select that inner circle, use the offset tool again to pull another one, again about 7 inches inside. And I'm going to select this circle and pull another offset circle, this time maybe about 3.5 inches. That looks too small. Let's try 5 inches. Alright, now that we have our concentric circles, we are going to use the push-pull to give them some dimension. We'll start in the center. I'm going to pull the center out. Let's stick with the same 7 inches and pull the next one up 5 inches. We'll continue in that pattern, 7 inches and 5 inches and 7 inches for the outer one. Now we've created a three-dimensional figure. Stopped at 5 inches. Let's pull it out again. Another 2. So that's 7. We have our three-dimensional figure now. And it is three-dimensional on both sides, but this side isn't quite deep enough. So I'm going to pull these out. Make this 3 inches. Selecting each ring separately. And pulling each one out about 3 inches on this side. And the inner one I will pull out a little bit more. Again, the idea is to get a nice three-dimensional form going here. I'm going to switch to the top view, and you can see I have a finished model over there. I'm going to select this whole set of forms, and normally we would make them a component, so that's what we're going to do, make component and call it one volute. And then I want to make a copy of that. I need to know how far away to make my copy, so I'm going to take my tape measure and measure the distance across this circle. And my distance looks like it's about 7 feet. So let's select this component, use Control Move to make a copy, and move it over about 7 feet. I think I'm going to make it a little further than that, just so that we can see the effect. I'll make it 9 feet instead of 7 feet. Alright, now I want to connect these two with a rectangle. So let's zoom in a little bit. I'm going to click out in space here. I want to draw a rectangle from the center of this to the center of this. And when it will say midpoint, actually, when I've reached that point. I want to make sure it's not sitting squarely on there, so I'm going to undo. I want to make sure I'm definitely in top view. Let's make sure that they're lined up with each other. Yes. And let's try that again. We want to be from midpoint in this component to the midpoint in this component. And then take this rectangle, make it a component, and double click to open it, and pull it up. Let's pull it up about 5 inches. Orbiting around. Now, I want to make a triangular connector so that it will seem like this rectangle is attached to these circles a little better. Let's orbit around a little bit more. Pan down. Most circles in SketchUp are actually made up of line segments. I'm going to draw a line from the top of this rectangle to the end of this line segment, and then to the base of the rectangle and back up again. And then I'm going to orbit around, select that rectangle, and use push-pull to pull it across. Then I'm going to do the same thing to the other end. Take my pencil tool, draw a line to this line segment, to the base of the rectangle, and up again. Orbit around, select that triangular shape, and use push-pull to pull it across. Alright, now I have half of my volutes. I need 4 of them. So let's go to top view, and again let's pan over. I'm going to select these. Now instead of making this a component, which I could do, let's do something a little different, and let's go to Edit, Make Group. This works similar to component, it just has a few slight differences. I'm going to use Control and Move to make a copy of that. And then I'm going to use my Rotate tool to rotate this copy 90 degrees, and I will type in 90. See that down here, so that I have exactly 90 degrees. And then use my Move tool to line these up so that they are centered over each other. Now, I could scale these, but I'm not going to scale them yet. What I want to do is Zoom out a little bit. I want to select this group, hold the Shift key down and select this one. I want to group all 4 of these together. Edit, Make Group. And now I want to use my Move tool to move this group over on top of my Doric style column, and then move it down so that it sits on my Doric column. And I actually think I want to rotate this 45 degrees. So I'm going back here, take my Rotate tool, click out, Start to Turn, type in 45, Enter. That will give more of the appearance that we're used to seeing in these columns. So that makes our column look like the traditional Ionic style columns with the ram's head or ram's horn scroll type things. You could, if you wanted, scale these so that they look a little thicker. I'm just going to scale these out a little bit. I just sort of want to show you what that would look like if it's a little thicker. Let's scale this piece too. I want to make sure that I'm scaling the whole group. Okay, so let's go to our front view and let's copy our column with a Control Move. And let's copy our capital. Again, all I'm doing, I've changed the scale a little bit. It's a matter of how you think your column should look. This is just another way of making this work. So if you think the thicker scrolls look better, go with a thicker scroll. If you think the thinner scrolls look better, go with that. Your choice. That concludes this tutorial.